What's up, guys? Chubbs here, NUGGETRY.com. Hope everybody's having a good day. It is, what day is it? Wednesday morning. Yesterday I did not make a video, got caught up in a project that I'm working on. I'm consulting right now, digital marketing consulting for a big brand here in California, and I had some shit I had to get taken care of. I had some shit I had to take care of that took a lot longer than expected. So I skipped yesterday, and today I wanted to make a video talking about 3 brands that are making that are making pretty significant changes here in the pause. Fuck. I don't even have my dab ready. Gonna have to refire this one. I heated up the nail. I hit start on my countdown timer. Did not put a dab together and then hit record. Usually I put a dab together, hit record, when the timer goes off, boom, I'm ready to go. Not the case this time. As I was saying, I want to talk about 3 different brands that are making changes to their corporate structure or just the way they do business. And these changes, I think, signify just broader changes, broader adjustments, broader evolution in the overall cannabis industry here in California. That dab was a little bit of a disappointment, so before we get into the video, let me get my mind right. Cheers. Ooh, swallowed a bunch of smoke, so I'm expecting a nice smoke burp in a little bit. Okay. Totally forgot the point I remember the point I was making right now, but I forgot a detail that I was going to cover. That's a sign of a good bong hit. All right, 3 brands that are making changes. Number 1, Weedmaps. You guys all heard they cut 25% of their workforce, about 115, 120 people. Came as a surprise to a lot of people from what I understand. I heard a rumor that there was security going through the building escorting people out as soon as they found out. I don't know. I don't know. I would be surprised if that was the truth. I know Weedmaps has got a bit of a weird reputation in the industry among consumers, brands, and dispensaries. But among people, for people that have worked there, other than the fact that you work a lot, I mean, it's a pretty cool place. And I would be surprised if management felt the need to bring in security to escort people out. But if they were dropping the hammer, or dropping the axe, if you will, randomly, or not randomly, but very abruptly with no notice, who knows? Maybe people were starting to freak out, so just in case they brought security in. But either way, that's one sign. Weedmaps, they wouldn't be cutting their staff unless they were either making less money or they're anticipating making less money here in the near future. And I could tell you from experience and just from insider information, Weedmaps doesn't make less money. Weedmaps makes more and more and more and more, not on accident and not through any unscrupulous, if that's the right word, ways of doing business. They just have a great model. They're aggressive, and they have a bit of a monopoly with the current position that they're in. So they make $8 million a month, $9 million a month, $10 million a month, $11 million a month, $12 million a month, like $100 million a year. So the fact that they had to reduce some of their workforce, some of their staff, lets me know that changes are coming for them, and they're kind of macro. They're up here. The whole industry kind of flows underneath. Not that they run the industry, but just where they operate, the level that they operate on. So for them to be making those changes signals to me that things are coming. In addition to Weedmaps, PAX just recently, I think in the last few days, publicly traded vape company, used to be part of Juul, the nicotine company. From what I understand, they were spun off, and now they're doing their own independent THC versus nicotine operations. Depending on what you read and who the interviewer is talking to at PAX, some of the PAX employees or some of the PAX management says, yeah, we were a part of Juul. Some says we were not. It's kind of confusing. Either way, it's a big ass company, millions of dollars in revenue, and they said that they had to cut 65 people, I think it was, 25% of their staff, claiming that it has nothing to do with the current vape crisis. And if that's the case, because what happened is they missed their revenue goal. When you're a public company, you announce, okay, this quarter we're gonna try and do $10 million. We're gonna anticipate doing $10 million in sales based off of previous data and previous sales. So if they predict, and these are just random numbers that I'm putting out there, but if they predict that they're going to do 10 million in sales in a quarter, and then at the end of the quarter they've only done 8 million in sales, well, there's either an issue with management who doesn't know how to correctly predict, or they did correctly predict and there was a problem in the industry that caused them not to be able to generate the amount of revenue that they thought they were going to generate. Either way, they didn't hit their mark and they cut a whole bunch of their staff. And if they're not hitting their mark, has nothing to do with the vape crisis, and it's just a result of the evolution and the shift in the current marijuana space here in California. That's a big deal because PAX has been growing at a pretty steady rate since the day that the company launched. So the fact that they've got to shut things down, not shut things down because they're not even close to shutting things down, I take that back. Now that they have to kind of plateau and rewind in terms of the number of people that work for the company, they got to get leaner and meaner so that the amount of money that they do make is enough to cover expenses and generate a little bit of profit because they're a public company. They have to make profit. Excuse me. So I thought that was an interesting article to read. Again, in my opinion, when you have somebody that big, they're at the top. They're operating at a different level than a lot of cannabis companies are. So there's a chance that when a shift is about to occur, a shift has to happen somewhere. It's not all of a sudden the company generated or the industry generated X and then now all of a sudden it generates Y overnight. That shift occurs over days, weeks, months, even years. And it takes a while for there to be an actual indicator, a very visual indicator that people can that people can recognize and say, okay, this is something that's happening, instead of just slowly seeing prices change and different shops opening and different brands launching and different products being offered to the market. That happens slowly over time on a day-to-day basis. But companies not closing, but reducing their staff and not hitting their revenue goals, that happens like on a quarterly basis. So those big chunks, those big milestones are very easy to recognize, positive and or negative. So when Weedmaps and PAX starts cutting their staff, I'm of the opinion that that's the beginning of something happening. The third company that I wanted to mention is Ignite. Dan Bilzerian's cannabis brand, cannabis and CBD brand, they raised like 25 million, 26 million when they went public. I think it was, what are we in, October, June, July, like 5 months ago, 6 months ago at most. So if they had a war chest of 26 million, and now they're at a point, I heard a rumor just the other day that they fired their entire sales staff from the top to the bottom, from management all the way down to the account executives, gone. And I didn't hear why, but I can only assume if you're going to fire your sales staff, it's because you're not making sales. That's their core job, their core function in a company. So that lets me know that because you see that product everywhere. It's been advertised a lot. It's been you see it in a lot of dispensaries, but that doesn't mean that it's selling on a retail level. And what I think they're finding out the hard way is that Dan, his giant international following on Instagram and other social media that like him because of the girls, cars, and guns that he posts all the time isn't translating. It's not translating over into retail cannabis sales. At the end of the day, stoners might be people who follow him, stoners, THC consumers that follow him for his normal content, at the end, when they walk into a dispensary and they see his brand after seeing it on his social media, they try it maybe once and then whoa, okay, motherfucker, you got me with this bullshit distillate pen or fucking some swag ass outdoor pre-rolls that Ignite does not produce any THC. They're a white label brand and they're they're kind of feeble at best at white labeling. And by white labeling, I mean, if you've got a garden, let's say you XYZ garden, and you produce 100 or 100,000 pounds, whatever the number is. Let's say, just for argument's sake, just to keep things square around, you produce 100 pounds. Of those 100 pounds, you take 80 pounds, you package it up in your own packaging, and you send it out to all of the retail shops that carry your product, XYZ brand. That 80 pounds goes out, and it's going to take a while to sell through. So that other 20 pounds that you're sitting on, instead of waiting for your retail partners to sell through and then call you back to reorder, because that might take a while, you want to turn that weed into revenue as soon as possible and churn and burn your business. You take that other 20 pounds and you white label it out to other brands. And the way it works in California, if you get a distribution license, not a production license, not a license to grow, not a license to make wax, not a license to sell on a retail level, just a distribution license, I can then, as a distributor, go to a grower who has a production or a growing license. I can buy a bunch of weed from him in bulk, and through my distribution company, I can break that bulk down into eighths, ounces, half ounces, grams, whatever, repackage it with my brand, whatever brand I want to put on there, and then sell it to retailers as a whole new brand. It started out as XYZ Garden. It's on the shelf available at different dispensaries as XYZ Garden, but I'm going to pack it up as ABC Garden. And it might go out to some of the same exact dispensaries that are currently carrying XYZ, and the same exact weed could be sitting on the shelf right next to each other in under two different brand names at two different price points, because when you white label, you have to add a little bit on for yourself because you didn't grow it. So it's costing you more to acquire your THC than it did for the grower to produce that THC. So that's what they do. And it comes down to relationships as well. Oh God, who's a fire? If, let's say, Amber Valley, let's say they grow 100 pounds, and I'm using the amount 100 pounds. I know it's just a little bit, but it's just, for argument's sake. Let's say they grow 100 pounds, and they've got 20 pounds to white label. Bilzerian, it comes down to, there are a lot of brands that are brand new. Like Ignite is less than 3 years old. So a lot of these brands that are brand new, they don't have relationships. They haven't been doing business with these old school growers for years and years and years, and they haven't established relationships by doing commerce with them. One of the best ways to form a bond with another business owner is to do business back and forth, millions and millions of dollars over the course of time. And for someone else who's brand new that comes in, has a white label brand, they're like, okay, I need flour for my pre-rolls, let me get some of this fire. And they're like, nope, sorry, I got plenty, but it's going over here to this guy that I know, like, and love. Yeah, sorry, homie, you just have to deal with what you can get your hands on as a new operator in the space. So yeah, that's what's happening. They got rid of Ignite, axed all of their people. Their white label products aren't selling that well. I think that popularity of the owner. I mean, there's a video of what's his name of Bilzerian with a fucking torch. He walks up to a piece. You guys have probably seen this. He walks up to a rig. The banger's hooked up to a fucking coil. It's got an e-nail coil already on it. It's already hot. It's ready to go. And he doesn't know what he's doing, and he fucking grabs a torch and he starts heating up the fucking banger with the coil. Like, the metal coil's already on the banger and he's torching the fucking coil. You're a fucking retard. So between those three big brands, not big, those two big brands and the one new brand, fuck it, they're big brands, whatever. With those changes coming to those brands, I think that you're going to slowly start to see a trickle-down effect over the next year. I think 2020 is going to bring big changes to the cannabis industry here in California. So keep your eyes open, and don't be surprised if a lot of people that you know as bosses end up being employees, and a lot of brands just disappear because they don't have... It's tough out there right now, man. It's not easy. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, you know what, I'm going to take another bong hit. I was going to wrap this video up right now, but I'm not going to. I'm smoking sativa, a dab sativa, and then I took a bong hit of sativa. I'm sure you noticed after I exhaled, I just I'm going 1,000,000 miles a minute right now. I was going to wrap this up, but instead, let's take another bong hit, and then I will wrap it up. Ugh, stale milk. Cheers. My lungs just absorbed that bong smoke, that flower smoke. See, this thing was fucking milky. Inhaled it, cleared it with one breath. Barely any smoke. That means it's all still in there. All right. 15 minutes, I'm going to wrap this up. Long video. Any questions, any comments, any complaints? Use the comment section below. I'm Chubbs, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.